goal is to have that support from outside the community. I said last night when we were filming, you know, you don't have to have metastatic breast cancer to join against it.
Yeah, I mean, you must know someone who's died of breast cancer.
Yeah.
So then you know somebody who died of metastatic breast cancer. All of us do. All of us have lost people. I had another dear friend who I watched suffer with it from 1995 to 2012. And she lasted an incredibly long amount of time compared to what her original diagnosis was. But she eschewed all modern treatment. So she went this kind of strange, winding route of alternative treatments. But then she had a very unseen form of cancer that in the modern world you don't see. She had tumors coming out of her skin because she did not do any treatment. So the quality of life, you know, the questions were, but so you know somebody, I loved somebody. All of us should be so down with this right now, because it doesn't have to happen. If we all put as much energy as we put our souls and hearts on the line when we lose someone, all that terrible pain and sadness that we have, if we put all that energy towards finding a cure, they wouldn't have to die anymore. We wouldn't have to die. Women wouldn't have to die. We wouldn't have to be worried. Because I know in the back of your mind, like in mine, you worry, and one day am I going to find a lump, and then my kids are going to have a mother who's dying? I mean, every woman thinks about this, every single woman. So we should all be banded together in this sisterhood that this is not acceptable, that this is a priority for our country to eliminate metastatic breast cancer.
And the other thing we like to talk about is that if you'd done top-down research, meaning cure metastatic disease, then it would have cured everyone. But by focusing on early prevention and we got a better mammogram, we've got a better, then what happens when 1 in 8 women get it, they don't respond to treatment, it comes back metastatic, or they're diagnosed at stage 4. Women in their early 30s, young women, younger, women who've never had a mammogram, would never have yet had a mammogram. And so if they just started at the top and put all that energy and money into that research, then when you were diagnosed, you didn't have to fear that you were going to end up with a death sentence.
You know, and I think we heard today about how you're going to have to take a multi-pronged approach, like with the AIDS cocktail. Because the receptors keep changing and morphing, and so you're going to have, and drug companies don't like to do that. They don't like to work together. But I feel like there needs to be some sort of mandate from above that is a morality-based mandate rather than a finance-based mandate, that if there are medicines that work better together, even if one is from one drug company and one's from another, they have to, legally, they have to work together, that they cannot keep themselves separate.
We have to knock down those roadblocks. I mean, what happens is, you know, if you're a house and you've got 6 doors and you only lock one of them, the robbers are coming in. So that happens. The disease morphs. There's one drug. If you just keep taking a single drug, it's single drug, die. So what happens for people like me who've never had a stable PET scan, who have steadily gotten worse every 3 months by that measure for the last 2 years, I'm right on track to die in the next few months. I get worse, I get worse, I get worse. It's in my organs. I'm charted to die. So I've taken a lot of single drugs that I locked one door. But if you put together a number of drugs that are maybe tailored for your genomics, because again, we're very good at now looking at genomics, but not knowing what to do with that. And if you remove the blockade of insurance companies saying, I won't let you have 6 drugs, or the pharma companies saying, I'm Macy's, you're Gimbel's, I'm not gonna share a cocktail with 4 other drug companies. If those got lifted out of the equation and you could heavily treat, the numbers drop to an amazing low amount of rate of progression. So we were talking to Beth Caldwell about this trial, a trial that I'm going to go and try to be part of, that she has just come back from, and now we got to source the drugs. So the good news is we know what your cocktail should be based on your genomics. The bad news is, how do we get 6 drugs? How do you be healthy enough to take 6 drugs for long enough to get the 6 drugs, and then let's see what happens. And the rates drop from 100% rate of progression, because if you're metastatic, you're going to progress, to 7%.
Wow.
In a de novo patient, someone who's never taken any drugs. And in a heavily pre-treated woman like myself, and like a lot of people here, it drops to a 30%. I'll take those numbers.
Yeah.
And what do I have to do? Do I need to divorce my husband and then Twitter shame all the drug companies and the insurance companies, because unfortunately that's one of the methods of getting these companies to put aside these roadblocks.
Twitter shaming?
Yes.
Why would you have to divorce your husband?
Because the fact that he still works
because
means
he has an income.
He has an income.
But he doesn't. He's not a millionaire. I mean, he
doesn't
has
matter.
an ordinary.
Again,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. He could, you know, as the rates of numbers for you to be eligible for anything outside of, I mean, you'd have to be literally in the street and single for you to qualify for different levels of contribution. Again, there's that disability hold, there's that, and then again, you're subject to their restrictions about how much drug they'll give you. If it's life prolonging and you're terminally ill, your insurance company is not a big fan of paying out countless millions of dollars to keep you alive longer. So once you're terminally ill, it's very hard to get treatment because life-saving doesn't exist. Life prolonging is still an experimental, and they don't want to pay on spec.
Yeah.
So again, how do I get 6 different drugs from 6 different drug companies with my insurance? So we're going to all work on it. And if it means that we got to take to the streets, that's what we just stampeded. That's the point. We've got to change the voice and the conversation about this illness, because otherwise we will have died quietly, and I will leave this earth knowing nothing changed and it was all worthless.
It's not worthless. You're making a difference. You are.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're trying to do here today.
So I do have one question about Angelina Jolie and her double mastectomy. Is that something that you would suggest, you know, if women know they're going to be prone to getting breast cancer? Is that something you'd suggest they go ahead with?
I think that's a very individual choice. First of all, what happens with BRCA positive tests, which she, you know, her mother died of breast cancer and she knows she has the BRCA gene. So over time, the likelihood that you'll get it just keeps going up. So there comes a point in your life where that means you're 90% prone to get breast cancer. When you choose to take prophylactic methods, some people base their family planning around that. Some people choose never to do it. I hate to tell you, but if you're that prone, and there's other genes, by the way, that are still not being tested for like BRCA is not the only one, and BRCA2 is not the only one. There's all kinds of other genes that can predict a propensity to breast cancer. And what happens is, just because you remove both your breasts doesn't mean you have now eliminated the risk factor. Again, people like Beth Fairchild, she's never had a tumor in her breast, not before she took them off, not after, and she's never had a breast tumor, and she's diagnosed early 30s and now has to head this agency that does research. So it's so, you know, people tell us all the time somehow we've done something wrong. They fat shame us, or they say we've lived a bad life, or whatever.
You drank alcohol, or you took,
but the other thing is, come back to me when you find the cure and tell me why I have this disease, and then I'll find out if I had anything to do with it, because that just sounds like someone who hasn't done any research and wants to look for a way out to blame the patient. So until they know why, and if they want to know why, they have to do that research. We need that research because we need that cure.
And can I ask when you were originally diagnosed?
I was originally diagnosed in 2010 at stage 3, had a year of treatment, had a couple years of maintenance treatment, and dealt with the ravages of treatment. And then April 1st, 2014, April Fool's Day, I was the full. So all of a sudden, I had a liver full of cancer, all of my bones full of cancer, and a couple years to live.
Well, thank you for coming here and talking to me.